Hi guys, welcome to Palace to the Core. My name is Stephen Dawes, thank you for joining me. Right, so we had the press conference before the Nottingham Forest game, and it was he talked about the injury situation, which there aren't any. All the players that were fit for the FA Cup semi-final are still fit, so he has no injury problems or anything like that, no illness to contend with or anything like that, which is good news to hear. And he says that he really wants to try and keep that the way it is until the end of the season, which obviously I'm sure he would do. He was asked about whether the FA Cup final would be in the players' minds and how they can prevent that from happening. And he said that he was really pleased to see that the players played the same way they did against Arsenal, what they did against Aston Villa in the semi-final. He said that clubs he's been at before, he's had a bit of a problem with the players switching from being a Premier League game or a league game to being a cup game. But he said the players are very good at being able to switch from one to the other and being able to be focused and continue to play the same way regardless of whether they've got a cup game coming up. So he was pleased with that situation. He also said that obviously it's a player's responsibility not to worry, or try not to worry, about the FA Cup final. But he said as far as he's concerned, he's told the players that they're not going to be discussing the FA Cup final until the last game before the FA Cup final has been played. So I think that he's going to do his best to try and take the players' minds off the FA Cup final before it actually happens, which is a good thing. Obviously, there may be players who will have it in the back of their mind. He said he hasn't noticed any players not giving their everything, not going in for the tackles because they're worried about getting injured. He hasn't seen that, and he's pleased that is the case. He was asked two questions which I'm sure a lot of you out there will want to know the answers to. First of all, he was asked about how he feels about Crystal Palace as a club and whether he's going to be signing an extension to his contract. He didn't really answer it. He went off in a bit of a tangent about how focused the players are and how much he's going to ensure that they are focused for every game between now and the end of the season. The journalist then asked him again, well, what's going to happen in terms of your contract? Are you going to be, can you tell the fans what's going to happen with that? And he said that as far as he's concerned, he's in no rush, the club's in no rush, and he basically just wants to make sure that he focuses on the rest of this season, which I kind of expected him to say. I don't think he was going to say anything until it was officially announced one way or the other, whether he was staying or whether another club had come in for him. It was never going to be talked about until this official announcement, so I kind of expected that to happen. The second question was, I think it was the same journalist actually, said to him, what do you think about players leaving in the summer? And they said, do you think that winning the FA Cup would perhaps persuade these players, such as Eze and Gahey, to stay? And he said that, as he did with the winter transfer window actually, he said no players have come up to him and asked that they want to leave. He said no players have come up to him and said that they're thinking about their future elsewhere. He said, obviously, if I noticed that a player wasn't particularly happy, then I would speak to him. He said, but I haven't seen any evidence that players are thinking about going anywhere else at the moment. So from that point of view, it's good news, but obviously they're going to want to be focused on this. He did say, that obviously it's in the players' best interest to play the best they can for the rest of the season, because the better they play the rest of the season, the better an offer they may get. He also said that obviously there are maybe 4 or 5 clubs in the Premier League who don't have to sell players, and he said Crystal Palace are not one of those. He said sometimes Palace does have to sell players, but he said that he hasn't heard anything from anyone to say they want to leave. Again, what I expected, because they're not going to be announcing that so-and-so is looking to leave or anything like that. I know there has been rumours circulating that Eze may well be thinking about leaving, that he has decided that now is a good time for him to move on to pastures new. I'm not entirely sure whether that's true or not, but I wouldn't be surprised. Well, no one came in for him during the winter transfer window, and I imagine that someone will come in for him. At least one club will come in for him in the summer. Whether he decides to stay or go, I think will probably depend on who comes in for him, more than anything else, just like all the other players. But I think it's going to be a tough window for us. I think we're going to have to work hard to keep our best players in the summer, because they have been incredibly good for us this season. And that was pretty much it in terms of the conversation. It was all about the way the team are preparing themselves for the FA Cup FA Cup final even, and the way they're going to prepare themselves in Nottingham Forest. He did say that he expects that it's going to be a tough game, and I think it will be a tough game against Nottingham Forest. They haven't played particularly well lately, but they are still a threat, and they obviously still have things that they want to aim for. So I think it's going to be a tough game, but I do think we've had those 4 days off and we've had a rest. I do think we're probably going to get them. I think it's going to be probably 2-0. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for 2-0 to us. Let me know down in the comment section, obviously, what you think, what your predictions are going to be. And also let me know what you think about the situation regarding Oliver Glasner. Do you think he will stay? He's obviously got a year left on his contract, but of course that doesn't mean necessarily anything. Do you think he will stay, or do you think that another club will tempt him away in the summer? Let me know down in the comment section what you think, as always, and until next time, I will see you then.